Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Shalev and Humphrey, and we're here for the final installment, part 5 of The Trouble with Chickens by Dorian Cronin. And so when we last left JJ Tully, he found out that Sugar had actually betrayed them. And Sugar, the chick, wanted to work with Vince because Vince was going to let Sugar read all the books in the library, and Sugar really likes to read. And so at this point, Sugar is stuck inside the cage with JJ Tully, who's stuck inside a cage. And Sugar's mom, Moosh, finds out that Sugar was working with Vince. And now Sugar's in a lot of trouble. So remember a few episodes ago when they talked about run, hide, breathe, wait, run, okay? R-H-B-W-R, okay? Run, R, H, hide, B, breathe, wait, W, R, run, okay? So that was the plan. So that's going to come into play in this next part of the book, okay? So chapter 20, R, H, B, W, R. Tell me everything you know now, I said when Sugar came to. Sugar spilled her guts for real this time. There was still one step left in Vince's plan. As soon as it was dark, they had to help him get his funnel off. Vince says when you're done, everybody will know that you're a dupe and he's a dirty double-crosser, she ended. Do you have any idea what that means? I asked, exasperated. None whatsoever, she said. It means Vince is a liar and you're in serious trouble. It was Dirt. Where have you been? I asked. Under the couch, Dirt answered. Doing what? I asked her. R-H-B-R-ing, she said. Stop mumbling, I said. Dirt rolled her eyes. Oh, got it, I said. Moosh's voice arrived in the kitchen before she did. I am not leaving here without Sugar, so you let her go. So let her go, JJ. She can't help you. She stopped dead in her tracks. Dirt, where have you been? Under the couch, Dirt said. Doing what? Demanded her mother. R-H-B-W-R-ing, she answered. Stop mumbling, said Moosh. Dirt let out a heavy sigh. Said Dirt. Never mind, we're leaving, said Moosh. I'm sorry for all the trouble, JJ, but I'm getting my family out of here. Where are Poppy and Sugar? Sorry, Poppy and Sweetie, asked Sugar. She sounded worried. I sent them to wake Vince up so we can take off his funnel and get out of here, said Moosh. Dirt was through the door before Moosh could finish her sentence. Sugar made that funny sound like she was going to pass out again. This time I caught her before she fell over. Moosh, that funnel is the only thing between Vince and your chicks, I said. Once that thing is off, you're doomed. All of you. Moosh ignored me. I won't be tricked again, she said. We're leaving. Moosh, you're not listening. I was getting pretty agitated. Vince is not going to let you go. I shoved Sugar out through the bars to let Moosh know I was serious. Dirt was back in a flash with Poppy and Sweetie behind her. And here is Poppy and Sweetie and Sugar and Dirt and Moosh. Mom, the doggy door is locked. We can't get out. Moosh looked scared. I can take him, she squawked. No, you can't, I said. Dirt got a good look around the kitchen, the note on the fridge, the lock on the cage, the recycle bin of bottles. I have a plan, said Dirt. And then she grabbed a pencil and paper and drew her own diagram. Chapter 21, Rescue. The sun had set and the kitchen was dark. The fireworks had begun. They shed just enough light for us to make our own shadows. Unlocking the bolt was easy for Moosh. All it took were some jerky movements of her head with her beak in the loop of the bolt. I have to admit, she's pretty handy with that sharp beak of hers. I had Poppy, Sweetie, and Dirt in the cage with me, but we could barely see one another. I knew they were counting on me, but suddenly it hit me that I was counting on them too. It was not a great feeling. All kinds of things can affect the outcome of a rescue. Timing, the weather, terrain, fatigue, and sometimes just luck. We were counting on everything going just right. That rarely happens with people. I had no idea what the odds were with chickens. Vince arrived right on time. About 2 feet in front of the crate, Moosh stopped him in his tracks. "I'll take off the funnel," she said. "I've got the sharpest beak." Her voice shook a little, but Vince didn't seem to notice. "Fine by me," said Vince. Moosh had to act fast now. If she hesitated, we were lost. I had a new appreciation for the pajama guy in the snowy cave, the skier in the Alps, and people waiting for me to rescue them. My heartbeat always pounded with excitement as the rescue got closer, and theirs was always pounding with fear. It was not the same feeling. I like the rescue heartbeat much better than the fear heartbeat. "This is harder than it looks," said Moosh, buying herself some time as she worked furiously on Vince's collar instead of the funnel. "Hurry it up," Vince growled. I said nothing, but silently I seconded the notion. He sounded like he meant business. Moosh stood her ground and kept on pecking. "Lower your head," she told him. Carefully, Moosh slipped the infrared tag off Vince's collar and held it in her beak, because the collar controls the doggy door. Then she dropped it to the floor and quickly kicked it to Sugar. "Wait for it," I told myself. My heart was pounding. Vince caught a glimpse of Sugar running towards the crate with the tag. "Wait for it," I told myself. I held my breath. While Sugar was running back to the cage, Dirt, Poppy, and Sweetie ran out the back of the crate between the bars. "No!" I threw open the unlocked cage door and made just enough room for Vince. Vince came down hard on his front paws and slid right in head first. It wasn't the linoleum that did him in, it was the empty plastic bottles. Just one more reason to recycle. Gingerly, I stepped over his big back paws and walked out the door of the cage. Dirt did the honors of slamming the cage closed. Moosh slid the lock back into place. Vince was inside the cage. I was outside the cage, just the way I liked it. "Great plan," I said to Dirt. "Great teacher," she replied. My heart was pounding, but it went from that fear beat to the rescue beat. And here is Vince stuck in the crate and JJ Tully got out. Chapter 22, Inside Out. There was still something I didn't understand. I turned to Vince. "Why did you chase me away from here the first time? What about the big wrestling match with the doggy door?" "Big search and rescue hero," he snarled. "Dogs like you are easy to read. If you didn't think the chicks were in danger, there wouldn't be any rescue, would there?" He had a point. Poppy and Sweetie were next. "And you've been watching television for 2 days?" I asked. "We came for the TV, and we stayed for the books," said Sweetie. Couldn't argue with that. The fireworks were over and it was time to go. Those little chicks were still in a heap of trouble with their mom, but at least my trouble was over. "What's wrong with you anyway?" I asked Vince. "What do you mean?" "The giant funnel?" "Chronic ear infection." I changed the subject. "Why did you let Sugar here in the first place?" "Can't reach my ears." "Sorry?" I asked. She scratches her ears with her beak. Tried not to laugh. I still had something on my mind. How did you know that Sugar wrote the notes? I asked Moosh. She took a deep breath. She was back in my good graces and wanted to stay there. Call it mother's instincts, she said. You could have told me, I answered. You would have walked away, she replied. True, I said. I was just a worried mom looking for my kids. I did what I had to do. She was looking at me in the eye. Her left foot was perfectly still. All right, Moosh. You and me are square. I thought she smiled, but again, it's tough to tell with a beak. Chapter 23, Reward. About that cheeseburger, I said to Moosh. There's no cheeseburger, she said, but I guess you knew that. I guess I did, I replied. Moosh headed back to the living room and hopped up on the couch. I watched as Sugar waited a beat and then did the same, and the rest of the brood followed. They were finally all together, but there was a huge spot between Moosh and Sugar. That didn't make any sense. That must be one big chicken you're missing, I joked. Moosh looked right at me. Sugar motioned with me with her tiny wing. The spot between Moosh and Sugar was just my size. It did look kind of comfy up there. So I jumped up on the couch. Moosh, me, Sugar, Poppy, Sweetie, Dirt. Sometimes you find yourself exactly where you belong. The end. But there's an epilogue. An epilogue tells us more about the story, like what happened to Vince and everything like that. So the reason why Vince had to go to the vet was because he got chronic ear infections, and that's why he was getting tubes put in his ears. And that's something that they do to help people or dogs deal with chronic ear infections, okay? Chronic means all the time ear infections, all right? So let's find out what happened. Epilogue. Vince the funnel got his ear tubes as planned and came back with an even bigger funnel wrapped around his head. Occasionally, we heard a crash coming from the house, and we know that he still hasn't quite adjusted to it. I had to give Vince credit, though. He knew exactly how to push my buttons. Smart guy. Can't stand him, but he's a smart guy. Sugar is teaching the rest of her family to read. We helped ourselves to a few books before we left the house that night. Barb, our owner, doesn't seem to have noticed. Sometimes when the chicks gather in the doghouse, I entertain them with tales of rescue from my glory days. It was Dirt who asked me why my rescue days were over. She always catches me off guard, that one. I wasn't ready to tell that story yet, but sooner or later, I'll tell. And if Sugar has her way, and she usually does, I guess it'll be sooner, not later, because Sugar, well, that chick will sure go a long way out of her way for a good story. The end. I really hope you enjoyed this book. This is the last installment of The Trouble with Chickens, but I'll start a new book tomorrow. So tune in and see what book we're going to read next. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Bye!